Man, it's time to wake up already. A little EH3 helps. It's time to wake up.
Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
Welcome to this episode of License to Live. My name is Dr. Jarrett Patton, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to this show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Just go to anywhere you listen to podcasts and subscribe to Licensed to Live. You guys know what I mean when I say displaced, disrespected, disgruntled, disenfranchised. Let me tell you, we had a great episode a couple of times. Lots of you guys have been talking about it. We talked about the Great Resignation, people quitting all over the place. People were hitting me up on social media. They were sending me emails. They were just really talking about quitting. And I wanted to get back to it. I wanted to get back to not the symptom of this, which is quitting all those jobs, which is the Great Resignation, but I want to talk about the root cause of it, the Great ReAwakening. And we will talk about the Great ReAwakening and why you need to wake up right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
Hey, this is Dr. Jarrett Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, License to Live, daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. License to Live, daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com.
This is Super Bowl champion Mike Logan, and you are listening to License to Live.
Today's affirmation is, my job adds satisfaction and fulfillment to my life. My job adds satisfaction and fulfillment to my life. I want you guys to sit there with that one for a while, and I hope it is true. And if it's not, well, you better keep listening to this episode. You know I love to use affirmations as just a part of my way to keep myself going positively, both in good times and in bad. And sometimes you just can't make those affirmations fit for you. You may have to modify. You may have to do a little something different. And if you need a little help, well, you know where to go. Well, I did hear a lot back from you guys on the Great Resignation episode. The links are in the show notes. You guys hit me up on social media, and you can find me on social media at Dr. Jarrett. Spell out the word doctor, J-A, 2 R's, E, 1 T. And today I'm coming back with what many industry experts are calling the Great ReAwakening, which is the root cause of the Great Resignation. And we're going to talk about this Great ReAwakening and have some tips that are going to help you. So, first, let's just talk about it in general. Looking at the job market over the last 2 years has been affected heavily by the pandemic. Healthcare, of course, is the epicenter of this because everything has been disrupted. And when we are looking at disruptions, we can look at opportunities. And this is what I want you to look at as you're going through these exercises that we'll talk about in this episode and just going through the details of your life. We need to make sure you are looking at this as an opportunity. So, how do you find an opportunity in this situation? Well, let's look at the type of businesses out there. When we're talking about the Great Reawakening, there are two types of businesses. There are businesses that were rolling along doing great pre pandemic. The pandemic made them hit some bumps in the road. They had to modify what they were doing. But as things started seeming like they were going to turn back to normal, well, which we know there aren't because there seems to always be another variant. But these businesses go right back into trying to get to their pre pandemic workflows. Well, that's okay because they're just trying to do what they've always done, which is make a bunch of money, which is maybe not share that wealth with all the employees. And they want to get back to that as soon as possible. The other type of company is a pre pandemic company that was rolling along just fine. And boom, hits the pandemic. They need to make some modifications, but they realize that some of the modifications actually are overall improvements. And they use this as an opportunity to change. So we saw a lot of hospital systems being bought and sold, hospital systems shutting down, some reopening, some expanding. There were a lot of these types of things. So the first thing you need to do is identify which type of these companies are you actually working for? Are you working for one that is going to look for a new day and a new opportunity out there and bring you along for a great ride? Or are you looking at ones that said, man, we were disrupted, we lost our shirts, we need to get back to the good old days ASAP? And that means you getting back to doing what you're supposed to do, whether you like it or not. You need to identify what type of place you're working at currently, because this is going to be key in how you move forward in this opportunity. And if you work for the latter, the ones that have made the change and will keep making changes to make the systems better, hey, things could be looking up for you. And this could be an opportunity for you to get yourselves into a better position. If you're working it on one of these others, you may want to start looking around. But this isn't only about those of you that are employed and those of you that are not employed. It's really about a number of other things that, well, we can look at this opportunity. Let's face it, the market out there in many industries, but in particularly in healthcare, the job market is wide open. So if you are looking for a simple replace this job with another very similar job, now is your time. There is availability all across the country in urban areas, suburban areas, rural areas, you name it, you can find it, and it's open for you. So this just may be a simple let's go to our greatest job aggregator and search for a new job. Maybe it's time for a fresh start in a new situation, which is great. Go for it. This opportunity could be a time for a salary adjustment. And salary adjustments are just what they are. And it can be hard cash compensation. It could be bonuses. It could be looking at your benefits, maybe even your vacation time. Start looking around and seeing what people are offering, which may make your life better. Because, well, let's face it, some people who may only have 1 or 2 years of experience, they may just be graduating residency, they may be getting paid more than you are. Well, why is that? Well, the job market changes and it takes more money to get people. And if you're not making a noise out there, if you're not saying anything, well, you're not going to get anything. I remember the first time that I was getting a job out of residency. I was all excited and I was looking in the New York City market. I was looking in the Philadelphia market. It was hard for me to find the right job for me. I was really looking at working at a community practice, which was really taking care of uh, impoverished and special needs kids. And when I finally found that place, it was out of the New York City market. And I wasn't very well prepared. Well, like many fresh graduates of residency programs are, I had a figure of a salary in my head because I had read a couple things about it. And when it got time to the end of the second interview, and I think this place is going to be the place, they say, "Hey, Dr. Jarrett, I think you're going to be the guy." And they said, "Well, what would you like to get paid?" And I said confidently, "I'd like $105,000 annually." And I felt good about that number. In fact, at the time in New York City, maybe a new resident grad would only be getting 90,000, 95,000, maybe if you're lucky, 100,000 as a general pediatrician. Well, that vice president couldn't have been quicker to say, "Okay, great, sounds good. Let's get you signed up." Well, because they had budgeted more for the position, and I just didn't know because I had only studied the salaries in New York City, and I was way out of New York City where I could have gotten a bigger salary. So that was then. This is now. I'm going to bring this to my son, JJ. He has been hard at work at a grocery store. He goes there after school. He goes there on the weekends. He's been working hard in the dairy section, stocking groceries, maybe behind the register, doing a lot of entry level work at this grocery store. It's teaching him about getting a paycheck, it's teaching him about taxes, saving for retirement. We're getting great lessons for my senior in high school. And he's really enjoying the responsibility. But since he started that job just a few months ago, it's almost like he has been getting a monthly wage increase. He comes home, "Hey, they raised my wages another dollar. Hey, they raised my wages another dollar again. My hourly rate is even more." And this happens again, and of course around the holiday times, and he didn't even ask for any of this. I pass by places and say, "Oh, they're paying this much at Burger King or they're paying this much at other places because they have it on their billboard. They can't get workers." And this company is trying to retain the workers they have by just giving them more money because they know that the market is a job seekers market right now. You can really get some benefits, some salary, some vacation, some things when you're going to a new job, but you can also get the same in your current job without making the change, without going through the interviews, without brushing up and dusting off your your CV. You can do it just by having that frank conversation. So there are opportunities in this market. And you have to be able to get yourself up to market because maybe you haven't had an adjustment in a while. Maybe you haven't even thought about these things. But, well, we know that inflation's out of control and there's a lot of things. So you could get greater job satisfaction, like we talked about in our daily affirmation today. You can get greater job satisfaction by asking for some of these things. Maybe my schedule could be changed. You know what? When I was working from home, things seemed to go so much better. I didn't have to make the commute. Is there a way that I can work from home again? There are lots of things that you can negotiate before you just up and quit as we talked about in the Great Resignation. The Great ReAwakening is all about you waking up, realizing that your value, your gifts, your talents are very marketable, even if you consider them standard. This is something that you could do. So look at this within your own job and your own organization where you are now. And it may be a simple fix that you could use. Now, there's some others of you out there. I know some of you hardcore fire starters, you've been listening to this show for all 90 something episodes, and you know that, hey, I want to do something different. I want to make a change. I'm going to make a switch. I'm going to make a transition, and I just don't know how. Well, the Great ReAwakening is just about that. I can't tell you how many new businesses have started up during this time, how many people have contacted me about maybe a new app they've developed or a new program they've gone on, or maybe even they've gone on a tour of some sort. This is the time to take a look at doing something different. I mean, honestly, you may be finally ready to work on that next book. And, look in the show notes. If you haven't written your book yet, I'll show you how. It's in the show notes. Just go click the link and we'll get you signed up. And you can have that video course, but maybe you want to start something new. You say, I always wanted to become an author. I always wanted to pursue my musical career. What is holding you back from doing that? What is it? I mean, really, what is it? Yeah, well, I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Right. You may not, but you know what? Life won't always be that easy, and you may have to take some risks. And it may mean you're just walking away from a job that you were okay with doing because you've been doing it for a while. Even though it may not be exactly for you, break free. We talked about this in the investment episode a few episodes back. The Great ReAwakening is all about getting in touch with yourself and waking up. It's about understanding your needs and your wants and understanding there are different ways to do things, just as you're identifying that business that is making a change and making a change for the better. Just as you've noticed some things that become more convenient over the pandemic, lots of great things have come from this besides death and destruction and disruption. We have gotten a lot of great things, and this could be your time. This is your time to do something great, and you shouldn't hold yourself back. So as you're waking up and we're rounding out a year and heading into another, I want you to remember that you're not alone. There's always help available for you, but simply take inventory. Take inventory of your life, take inventory of your job, and use this Great ReAwakening as an opportunity that will catapult your career and add more satisfaction and fulfillment to your life than you've ever had before. Now's the time. Remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been disengaged, dissatisfied, disgruntled, disenfranchised, disrespected with their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and subscribe to License to Live. And if you ever have any feedback, if you ever want to hear about more or different topics on our show, just shout me out. You can find me everywhere at Dr. Jarrett. Spell out the word doctor, J-A, 2 R's, E, 1 T, and I will see you on LinkedIn, which is exactly where I hang out in between episodes. And until then, see you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarrett's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.